I'm Margaret Morton, and I am the Executive Director of the Sylacauga Alliance for Family Enhancement, better known as the S.A.F.E Family Services Center.
My name is Robert Holmes, Sylacauga native. Spent over 30 years in the United States military and then the defense industry, where I was able to observe leadership and organizational behavior, both in conflict and disruptive events. So it's good to be able to come back home, be with my native folks in Sylacauga, and watch this community grow.
I'm Laura Strickland. I'm the Executive Director of the Sylacauga Chamber of Commerce. I'm also honored to serve on the board at S.A.F.E as well.
We have not had high rates of COVID, nor have we had high rates of death. However, that is also an issue related to testing, because we have not had high rates of testing. So sometimes you don't know where you are because you haven't been able to implement those strategies that would inform your practice and your policy. But the neat part of all of that, and the exciting part, has been the development of the Greater Sylacauga Resiliency Network that has brought together some of the best and brightest, thanks to General Holmes, who convened the group, and the Chamber of Commerce, who has brought together the best and brightest to really take a look at where have we been, where are we now, and where are we going for the future. And that is inspiring, and it has inspired others to look at this from a problem-solving perspective, not a reaction, but a proactive approach.
I think one of the encouraging aspects of our resiliency network that we established, we did this within just a few days after the initial orders being in place. We saw the need to pull this community together to make sure that we pooled our resources. In a situation like this, we just could not afford to duplicate effort. And you know, I think we get so caught up in our routines within each of our organizations. We have a tendency to operate on our own islands, and this was a great opportunity to bring our islands together as one, to re-energize our partnerships within the community. And it was very encouraging. Those of us who have been in the community for a long time, which is the three of us, you know, we know what Sylacauga has to offer, and we know the quality and the integrity of our community. And so it was really encouraging to see the positive results of this resiliency network that we put together.
In looking at the impact of COVID-19, the pandemic, you know, on the greater Sylacauga community, there's the health issue that we all recognize, and that's a certain impact. But because this was now, in a sense, a global disruptive event, we had to then look at, okay, what about our community? What about our economy? What about our businesses? What about, you know, all of the professionals that serve here, and how this was going to impact? So the impact, there's the health impact, but then there's also an impact of uncertainty, an impact on where is this going to go for my family? Where will this go, particularly for schools? I mean, you know, we've seen a huge dynamic there where this disrupted and provided uncertainty to, you know, the numbers of children in this area, and it disrupted, you know, the services that would be provided, the feeding services that that S.A.F.E and you know, and others execute on behalf of the schools. So the big thing was the impact on the community was this degree of uncertainty that had to be dealt with. And one thing that you look at, and this was why it was so important to bring a network together of community leaders, because leaders address uncertainty, leaders address chaos. And they do that by looking at requirements, providing a very calm, steady platform to address the needs of the community. And that's what we're looking at. So address the impact, look at the requirements, and then calm and provide hope. So in terms of looking at impact, disruptive event. It changed a lot of things for a lot of people. It's not going to be over necessarily in a few weeks or months. There will be, and this is not to be doomsday, but there will be long-lasting impacts that the community needs to address, and that's what's the importance of bringing together this resiliency network, so that we address the problem, we calm the waters, we provide hope, and then we recover.
You know, necessity is the mother of invention. And so what we have been able to do at S.A.F.E, with a lot of help from the Resiliency Network, a lot of help from the Chamber of Commerce and from some other partners in the community, across the community, is that we have altered and we may be forever changed as a result the way we deliver services, because we have gone remote. And the fortunate part of that is that we had kept S.A.F.E at a point that we could be responsive quickly. Yeah. If we put our heads together, and if we looked at what were the needs, and we knew what the needs were because we work with these vulnerable families in many instances, that they don't have access to basic needs: food, shelter, technology, broadband. So all of those issues we knew existed. So we just set about very quickly in responding and arming our folks at S.A.F.E with the tools that they needed to do their work, to reach out across the community and find those pockets of assistance so that our folks could do their work, and then in turn vetting what are the needs of the families in order to keep them connected, and working with the schools, working with Coosa Valley Medical Center, which was critical, working with the city of Sylacauga and across the region and across the county, was very important in coming together so that we could do our work remotely. We have huge home visitation programs and after school programs. Well, we've been doing virtual after school, and we've had tremendous participation. We've been doing home visitation. We've been home visitation by phone, home visitation through Zoom, through Google, a variety of ways that we've been able to stay connected to our families. And so out of that, we have seen a change in our efficiency. And so that has really informed our practice moving forward. So we're excited about not so much the devastation of the pandemic, but excited about the opportunity to take an inward look at how we do business so that we can move forward strategically. And I think that that's the basis of the Resiliency Network as well.
And this is another thing that leaders do, is that in the midst of a crisis, in the midst of something that's disruptive, you don't go into a hole and cry about, being a victim. You then find, okay, what have I got to do to get out of this?
Exactly.
And a perfect example where the community comes together as a network and then creates opportunity. And that will be a lasting opportunity, and from that, then we'll look for other opportunities.
I think, again, when we look at sustainability of an economy, sustainability of a community, sustainability of a network, that you do have to have a vision. There has to be a shared vision. There has to be shared responsibilities, which is what this network is founded on. And shared outcomes, if it isn't working or if it is working, and how we can move forward. And one of the initiatives that many of us, Laura and many of the folks around the community business and industry, Chamber of Commerce and that sort of thing, that has been working toward, is the creation of a risk. Actually, it winds up being such a beautiful fit with this whole idea of resiliency, because it is an innovation center, it is specific to rural Alabama, specific to our rural community, a rural innovation and training center. And this has really set us up to utilize these opportunities to move that forward. And we are in the works right now in developing that and doing some feasibility studies and things of that nature. So really and truly, it sort of can become the place, the resiliency place. So moving forward, that's a big vision for has been a big vision for our community.
Through this resiliency network, we have opened those lines of communication to spread even further than we had initially envisioned. And so that's another great opportunity of the situation that we've encountered over the past few months. But we're excited to be a part of that, and to see preparation, to be proactive with all of our efforts. And this Innovation Center is going to allow us to do that.
We started out with an informal, notional morning tag up, 7:30 every morning. Come as you are, baseball caps, sweatshirts, cup of coffee, whatever. We did a Zoom call every morning at 7:30 for almost 6 weeks. And now we've gone off to 2 days a week. But it was a normal reaction for me to get people to talk, to share their concerns, to share their problems, to share their requirements, so that as a group we could meet those and not duplicate effort or not have wasted effort. And I think that's the thing. So the big opportunity for the long haul in this is now this network, which was always very, a congenial, collaborative environment in Sylacauga, but now we've put some formal trappings around that we want to continue it. Because there's going to be other events, just like Laura said, that, we've already had in the middle of COVID on the southern end of our community area, massive tornadoes and windstorms about 3 weeks ago. So while in one sense the volunteers are working to support the school system, to support S.A.F.E.'s feeding programs, now volunteers had to go and now help cut down trees for the neighbors to the south. On the edges of the greater Sylacauga community. So we're already looking at an event within an event, but we were able to talk about that in this network tag up. So now it's looking toward recovery, and not so much recovery, because recovery can carry maybe a negative connotation. So it's resiliency. So what we're looking at is that the greater Sylacauga area, this community, is a resilient community, and we'll come back. Decades ago, we had economic impacts that really did a lot to disrupt the Sylacauga area with some very large manufacturing, long-standing manufacturing and industrial centers of activity. Well, they went away, but Sylacauga rebounded. So if this happens again, whether it's COVID, whether it's a weather event, whether it's whatever, we want this to be a resilient community.